Here's what we know so far about the St. Petersburg bombing. Investigators have named a suspect in the deadly blast that tore through a metro train in Russia's second-largest city on Monday. The St. Petersburg suicide bomber has been identified as Akbardjon Djalilov, a Russian national born in Kyrgyzstan. A surveillance photo shows Djalilov walking through a metro station, carrying what was later found to be an explosive-laden backpack. He detonated the device around 2:40 p.m. inside a train car that was moving between the Technological Institut and Sennaya metro stations. The explosion occurred in the third carriage and smashed the train door. The driver reportedly heard the blast, but followed protocol and continued on to the next station, where passengers were let out. 14 people died in the bombing, while 49 others were injured. A second, more powerful device, with Jalilov's DNA on it, was found and defused at another station. It contained a kilo of TNT and ball bearings, and was hidden inside a fire extinguisher that was placed in a bag on the platform. A motive for the bombing has yet to be established. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the massacre, which has been called a terrorist act by the Russian Prime Minister. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Sadly, there have been many train bombings over the years.
ISIS claims responsibility for bombing attacks on Brussels. The blasts in Belgium have left at least 30 dead and dozens more injured, with new reports indicating ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attacks. The first incident took place at Brussels airport at 8 a.m., while the second happened shortly after at 9:19 in the Malbeek subway station. At the airport, reports indicate the suspects entered the departure lounge and began yelling in Arabic before firing Kalashnikov rifles. At least one of the suspects is believed to have detonated a suicide vest. Authorities say as many as 3 terrorists were involved. One of the blasts rocked the third row of the departure lounge check-in, while the other detonated close by. A third undetonated bomb was later discovered by authorities. Close to 80 minutes later, a 3-carriage subway train was pulling out of Malbeek station when one of the carriages exploded. Early reports estimate at least 20 are presumed dead. Authorities continue to investigate whether the blast on the metro was the result of a suicide bomber or a planted explosive. Police are now on the hunt for this man, a suspect in the airport bombings. The other 2 men seen in the CCTV footage released by Belgian police are believed to have been his accomplices who died in the attacks.
Bomb blasts in enclosed spaces can be more dangerous. More than 30 people were killed in the Brussels bombings that targeted an airport and a metro station on Tuesday. More than half of the casualties resulted from the Malbeek station attack, proving that bombs detonated in a closed space can in fact be more lethal. When a bomb goes off, it produces a high-energy pressure wave that can damage the ears, lungs, and other organs. Blast waves in open air last less than 10 milliseconds. In an enclosed space, hard surfaces reflect the waves, magnifying their effect. Victims can sustain secondary injuries from bomb fragments, shrapnel, and debris. When a person is propelled through the air by blast winds, the extent of their injuries, from bruises to impalements, can be determined by the environment. Burns, inhalation, and crush injuries may also be compounded in confined spaces. While researchers have proposed making subway spaces more open and cleared of obstructions, it is difficult to make underground train stations completely safe.
Bomb on Pakistan train kills at least 17. At least 17 people died and 40 were injured after a bomb went off on a Pakistani express train on April 8th. The Jafar Express train is a daily service covering the almost 1,500-kilometer journey from Rawalpindi to Quetta. The bomb went off as the train stopped at the Sibi railway station, 160 kilometers south of Quetta. It was placed in a carriage reserved for men. After the explosion, 3 carriages caught fire, which caused the majority of deaths. The United Baluch Army, one of several armed separatist groups in Baluchistan, claimed responsibility for the bombing, saying it was in retaliation for raids by security forces that killed an alleged 40 insurgents.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
On March the 11th, 2014, Madrid is commemorating the 10th anniversary of the worst terrorist attack in Europe since the Lockerbie bombing in 1988. In Madrid on March 11, 2004, at around 7:30 a.m., 4 packed commuter trains were approaching 3 stations in the city centre, Atocha, El Pozo and Santa Eugenia. At 7:37 a.m., a backpack exploded in train C1/21431 inside Atocha Renfe station. At 7:38 a.m., 2 more bombs exploded in the same train. A 4th bomb hidden in a backpack in car 1 failed to detonate. Meanwhile, train C1/17305CA was approaching the same station. 4 bombs were detonated while the train was 500 meters from the entrance. At 7:38 a.m., more explosions went off at El Pozo when 2 backpack bombs left in the upper floors of cars 4 and 5 of train C1/21435 were detonated. A blue backpack with explosives inside was later found on the station platform near the train between the 2nd and 3rd car. Another suspicious device was also found among the wreckage of the train. At the same time, the last explosion of the attack took place at Santa Eugenia. Within a span of 3 minutes, of the 13 devices believed to have been placed by terrorists in the 4 commuter trains, 10 had exploded and 3 had failed to detonate. The explosions killed a total of 191 people and injured more than 1,800. Many Spaniards blamed the attack on the pro-US administration in power at the time, saying it made the country a target for terrorists.
Twin blasts rock Indian train amid general election. 2 rudimentary bombs planted underneath the seats in an Indian train detonated, claiming the life of 1 female passenger and injuring 9. The Guwahati-bound train departed from Bangalore and stopped at Chennai at around 7 a.m. Police said that the explosions took place in 2 sleeper-class coaches and the explosive devices were concealed under the seats. A 22-year-old female passenger was killed in the blast. 9 others were injured. An investigation is underway, but no arrests have been made so far.